Thanks, Jerry. Again, I'd like to thank RIU for putting on another great conference here in Sydney. Again, very well attended and good to see the support from investors. Disclaimer, just moving forward through that. I've only got 10 minutes and a lot to talk about. We've got a dominant position in what looks like an emerging new nickel cobalt province in Western Australia. It's called our Pingaring project. We've just completed drilling on a new lithium target near Greenbushes. We have a volcanic massive sulphide target not too far from that lithium target near Manjimup. That's drilling is imminent on that project. Our maiden drill program at Caesar, which was co-funded, has just been recently was completed late last year. And with the emerging EV market, we've dusted off our Mount Lindsay project, which has already been drilled out and is certainly ready to reassess for potential production in the near future. And of course, more importantly, we have a very highly credentialed, experienced, dedicated management team. And moving on to that, this team here has been the same team. Like Emerson, we've got the same team since we started in 2006. Great track record of discovery, internationally and locally. And we've kept this team together through thick and thin, and hopefully it looks like we're coming to the other side and through better times ahead. Firstly, I'll talk about the Pingaring project. We just picked up this project opportunistically in November last year when our friends at Golden Mile Resources had found and announced a quicksilver nickel cobalt discovery. Their share price went from 26 cents to $1.20. We were nimble enough to pick up a whole heap of land around them and enjoyed quite a significant share price rise. We then went ahead and we picked up land 4 kilometres along strike. We ended up collecting nearly 800 square kilometres of tenure in the area, and we're now waiting for all that to be granted. And a lot of this, because we were nimble, we were able to beat our competitors at picking up all these prospective ultramafic targets. We then went and had a much closer look, and then we came up with quite a nice target, which we hadn't recognised the very first time. And that's sitting here on this layered intrusion feature sitting out here on our very western edge, which gave us another 5 kilometres of targets. Now, layered intrusions are usually the host for one of the biggest platinum and nickel sulphide type targets in the world. So we're pretty excited by this. And there is a little bit of anomalous platinum in the area already, but not much exploration has been done in this area. So we'll hit the ground running here. We've got some rocks we can look at the surface. We're seeing high chrome, anomalous platinum and nickel. So we're pretty excited with this target. So we've got 2 targets at a price of 1 in this case. Golden Mile Resources are currently drilling EM plates looking for nickel sulphide, and the results for that are imminent. Obviously, our land position puts us well positioned for any future share price growth from G88. And like I said, when the tenure gets granted, we'll hit the ground and we'll run on our what we call the Coolum prospect out here to the west. Now moving on to our southwest projects, southwest corner of WA. Now we pegged this area looking for repeats of the Greenbushes project. And when you look for tin and tantalum to find lithium, when you look for tin, you find VMS targets. Also quite anomalous for all VMS projects, a good pathfinder. And we came up with these prospects here. Several of these prospects they're all VMS prospects, but we did eventually come up with some pegmatite at our Odin project. Now, just looking at Odin, there's the Greenbushes mine just 30 kilometres away. There is no other mines for lithium in this area. It's by itself. It's a world-class mine, the biggest primary producer in the world. So it's out by itself. So it sounds a bit strange. So not many companies have ever explored targets that are this big. Certainly on we had a tin anomaly here. We had pegmatite at the surface. It was 1.9 kilometres long and half a kilometre wide. We have now put a drill hole in that, and results are due shortly. Now moving on to our other targets, we come across a nice VMS series of targets in the area, and when we dug a little bit deeper, we found that there was previously a discovery by our friends at Teck, biggest zinc producers in the world. So they'd been here probably 10 years previously and drilled this core, which we found at the Perth Core Library. with sphalerite, zinc sulfide, and lead, and silver, gold, and copper. So it's clearly a VMS. But the tech, who are not really interested in high-grade small deposits, they're interested in a larger scale like Red Dog, producing over 300,000 tonnes of zinc metal, they decided that they should go somewhere else looking. And this was the Kingsley target down here in the bottom left-hand corner. We have soils sitting here. They did soils first, same signature here. EM target, drill the holes, and you saw the result with a core. It was too small, so even though they had done the EM way out here to the east, they actually did not test that much larger feature, which is our Tor prospect. And when we actually found this EM target, we then did the soils and found the same signature. So as far as exploration is concerned, this is almost as good a slam dunk as you're ever going to get. So we've been spending probably the last 12 months going through permitting. We're in a state forest, and we're on the back end of that, and we're on the verge of drilling this target out. So pretty excited. We received co-funding from the West Australian Government again on this, like we did at Odin. And as you can see, most VMS deposits aren't by themselves. There's usually a field of them. And what we've also recently done is we've actually pegged an extension out to the northeast of another 14 kilometres of strike of this unit. So if we're onto it, we're going to have the area well and truly covered. Okay, moving on to our Caesar project. We drilled this late last year. Target was looking for these sort of big nickel, copper, cobalt magmatite deposits on the edge of the Yilgarn Craton, like we have at Nova Bollinger. So our Caesar project on a macro scale is very well positioned. We had a soil geochemistry, good soil geochemistry in terms of anomalous nickel and cobalt and copper on dolerite and gabbros. We then did the EM. They matched up beautifully. We got the funding. We drilled the hole. So that all sounded pretty straightforward. When we drilled the hole, we found that the EM plate was a fault zone, and as a consequence, and the geology dipped the other way opposite to the plate, and we got nickel and copper intersected, but only on a probe scale. So it tested the theory was that the land was fertile, but the main anomaly hadn't been tested. But we hit a very strongly altered 18-metre zone of sericite altered sediments, and within that we had a couple of anomalous gold hits, with the best being 1 metre at 1.8 grams per tonne of gold, 4.6 grams per tonne of silver. And as you can see, because our focus was on nickel and copper, we basically didn't do any assaying for gold or even arsenic as a pathfinder element. So we're re-evaluating that area of potential, but you can see that intersection is in the middle of nowhere, and the nearest gold deposit is Glenberg, which is 200 kilometres away. So we certainly are in elephant country. Just moving on to our Tasmanian assets. Like I said before, we've had this project since we listed back in 2006. We spent $35 million on the Mount Lindsay project here. Sensational infrastructure, got hydropower going past, roads, rail, mining in the area with Renison Bell, world-class tin mine, Rosebery, another volcanic massive sulphide. So great pedigree. So we all know about that story. We've spoken about it before. But what's changed recently is that tin has now been recognised as a forgotten EV metal. It has it's gone up in price, gone up 60% over the last 2 years. Not as dramatic, a nice steady rise compared to lithium, cobalt and graphite. Still, in terms of the EV side of things, when you got solders, fuses and contacts in electric vehicles, you'll have plenty of those, so the tin's required for that. It's a small market, and also tin's required in the batteries. As we've all known, 50% of the consumption of tin is solder and 10% is lead-acid batteries. That's been doubling since 2010. It's growing at 2 to 4% per annum up till 2025. And obviously it sits within the batteries and lithium-ion cells, and it has potential opportunities going forward. So lots of EV applications. The tin producers are producing less, the tin stocks are going down, and the tin prices are going up. So that all sounds pretty good. In response to that, we realised that we have we're reassessing the project now. We're looking at the higher grade component, looking for a smaller footprint underground operation. We've got 80,000 tonnes of tin metal. We're going to look at the high grade core In addition to that, we've got 3.2 million metric tonne units of tungsten, so just add that to your spreadsheet. And when you've got 4.7 million tonnes of higher grade material that we can mine together, you've certainly got a nice operation, albeit probably smaller than our BFS was done, but a small organic growth story is what we're heading towards with Mount Lindesay. And this is just a recent slide that Rio Tinto put up at their last Battery Minerals Conference, and it shows tin ranked number 1 in terms of metals most likely to be impacted by new technology. It beat lithium, and third was cobalt. Tungsten's number 7. Just finalising that, just to reiterate, 83,000 metres drilling done at Mount Lindesay. It's over 60% in the measured and indicated categories, so it's been drilled, ready to mine. High-grade tin con's been proven to exist. Tin price, as I said, up 60% last 2 years. Tungsten's up 90% last 2 years. And we've got great targets like Big Wilson still needs to be followed up, and another further 6 or 7 targets we've delineated over the last few years. So plenty of prospectivity. We're a long strike to Renison Bell. We have the same mine sequence. That's a ripping target that needs to be tested in the near future. In conclusion, we're leveraged in multiple commodities over numerous projects, which I've just briefly all touched on today. Dominant position in new nickel cobalt province in Western Australia. Awaiting results from our lithium drilling at Odin. We have a great VMS target to drill near Odin, and a field of other targets within that area. Nickel and copper and cobalt's been identified at Caesar and a gold target there. And Mount Lindesay has great opportunity with its high-grade component of its 10-tonne resources, give us an exposure to the EV market. Low overheads and a high percentage of dollars in the ground is our motto. Thank you very much, and if you have any further questions, come to booth 25. Cheers.
Thank you, Andrew.